Like, how do you guys operate that? Because a lot of laws are different for law firms and consumers.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
What we find is we get about 30,000 calls a week into our call center.
30,000 a week.
30,000 calls a week into our call center. And that's all across the country. And, you know, not everyone will have a valid claim, but those that do, we want to make sure that they have a voice and someone local who they can be transferred to. We have a vested interest in the outcome as well, because we know that clients will stay if they're getting good results, and they're going to get good results if they get good outcomes for the clients. So it's kind of like the circle of life.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon of Proof, where we interview those who have been both successful at law and life, and we do so over several spirits. We've done tequila before, mostly brown alcohol, right? To my esteemed co-host, Mauro Fiore.
Hello, Mauro Fiore here. We usually do bourbon, but we've had shows where we do tequila, we do wine,
We've never done wine.
Non-alcoholic. Did we do wine?
I know your favorite wine, though.
I want to go to Boca Raton.
That's it. That's actually his favorite wine. But we're very, very excited to have on David Goins today. So came in from Texas, flew in this morning, yeah?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you came in from where in Texas?
Dallas, North Dallas.
Fort Worth or like
It's
Dallas
called
proper?
Colleyville, kind
Colleyville?
of like suburbs. Originally from Rancho Bernardo, so it's a very similar vibe to Rancho
North
Bernardo.
Dallas is where North Texas State is, Denton, Texas.
Yep.
North Texas. Well, look at you. Well, we're going to always start off with the pour because we're very excited to have David on because he's probably the master of what we call legal marketing, right? So he's operated in this space. They've gone, we're going to talk about it, but their company's gone up a 10x during COVID, just the amount of case captures they've been able to do and stuff that lawyers struggle a lot with. Would you agree lawyers struggle a lot with like this?
Definitely, yes.
So the first pour I brought for you, and this is from the Johnny Walker. This is Walker advertising to this Johnny Walker, but this is the Johnny Walker 5. So this is their King George 5th edition. Hard to find. I don't know if you ever had this one before. No. Usually everyone thinks the Johnny Walker Blue is the highest, but it's probably this one or an aged one.
What's this one called? The George?
The King George V, the Johnny Walker one. Yeah, so this is the gold top. Yeah, this has got a definitely different taste that Mauro and I are used to.
Are you a top, Bob, or a bottom?
I am more of a power top.
You're a top? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'd like to know that.
Pass this over here to that one. Already this guy's starting. Here, let me top you off, my friend. All right, so David, thank you for coming in.
Yes, thanks for having me.
From Texas today
Yes.
to the King George V.
Definitely has a Scotch taste.
It's more like a Johnny Walker is all more of a
very Scotchy.
blended Scotch. Yeah, definitely. So one thing we know, so I don't know if you know this, Mauro, but David was actually born on the same day in the same year that Walker Advertising started.
Wow.
What was that date?
That's September 4th, 1984. So we're celebrating our 40th birthday this year. So
And so are you.
every time they update the website, I feel a little bit older. But yeah.
That's crazy. So I mean, do you know Walker's been around that long? Because we've been in LA a long time. They've been here for a long time.
I know that they've been around the business as long as I can remember, and I'm sure they were way before I could remember.
Well, Marion Walker was the founder of that. So, explain to us kind of what you do, because you're the COO of the company.
Yeah, so I'm our vice president of sales, so I oversee all of our national efforts outside of California. So we've expanded pretty dramatically nationwide. We get calls nationwide, connect injury victims to local attorneys in all 50 states. It was started by Marianne in 1984. She was 19 years old at the time.
Wow.
So she was court translator and just saw just a lack of access to justice within the Hispanic community, and just saw an unmet need, and they didn't have a voice, and just began working with local attorneys to give them a voice, and then that same mission has expanded over the last 40 years. So work with about 350 firms across the country.
But are you guys concentrated? And so a lot of people don't know what happens is, most lawyers are not good at the business of law. They're not good at the operations. They're not good at marketing themselves. And that's kind of where your company fits that, fills that gap for a lot of lawyers. When you say 350 law firms nationwide, I mean, is it state specific? Like, how do you guys operate that? Because a lot of laws are different for law firms and consumers.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we deal mainly with motor vehicle accidents. What we find is we get about 30,000 calls a week into our call center.
30,000 a week.
30,000 calls a week into our call center. And that's all across the country. And not everyone will have a valid claim, but those that do, we want to make sure that they have a voice and someone local who they can be transferred to. And that's really what we do. And a lot of it too, a lot of these people probably wouldn't contact an attorney if they didn't call us. And from a law firm's perspective, it's unbranded. It's not delving into their personal brand, but these are people who, for whatever reason, that brand isn't resonating with them, and maybe they don't know who to call. So that's kind of the gap that we fill, so they have someone to call next time.
But you guys, nationwide, but I think everybody's kind of, since COVID happened, most people are virtual at your company. So how does it work? 350 firms you're servicing, 30,000 calls a week. By the way, that's insane.
That's insane.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I was a younger lawyer, I tried some of these different advertising companies, and I just, I don't know if it was the way it worked then or whatever, but I didn't really seem to get any really good return for my money on what I was doing, so I never did it again. I tried several of these kind of referral companies. It didn't work for me, but I know lots of lawyers it's worked.
That's all they do.
well for
I mean, I know a lot of lawyers that are friends with built their entire practices off working with your company. But what are they? I mean, you guys have different brands, right?
Yeah.
So it's Walker, 1-800.
Low Stuff and Stories is our most
Big one.
well-known brand. Yeah.
So most of it, because Marion was passionate about helping the underserved Hispanic community. But Walker, I mean, we're going to get to your story, but just briefly touch on that Walker story. Both 40 years old, from 1984 all the way up into the present. Kind of how does that workflow go through, early 80s to 90s? I mean, he was the 90s, and he just talks about how fucking great it was. All I hear about is the 90s was amazing.
90s was the best time of my life for sure. 90s was awesome.
Yeah, whatever.
Best music, best everything. No fucking internet or no in social media.
No air tags
you could
where
do
he's
whatever
been.
the fuck you want. No one knew shit. I could say anything I wanted. No one would. You know what I mean? It was a fucking great time to be a fucking raving lunatic like I am. Now I really have to tone it down.
Yeah.
Because everyone will hear about what I said now. I gotta keep quiet. I gotta keep quiet. But in the 90s, you could do and say whatever the fuck you wanted. It was great.
Yeah, but you guys, I mean, at Walker, you dominated billboards, television. I mean, how's that transition over 40 years? Because
Yeah.
you got to be malleable. It's got to be different.
Just the media consumption has changed so much. So, at one point it was 100%, radio and TV, because that's where the eyeballs and ears were. And then as, consumer habits change, we adapt. And, as more people are online, we want to make sure our ads are seen in front of them online, in addition to, TV or whatever else they're consuming. So it's really just following the eyeballs. So as people change, we try to adapt and make sure that they still have means to contact an attorney.
But I mean, how do you guys pinpoint that? Because we talked to one of our friends earlier that put up his first billboard, and it's like, you're putting up your billboard for what return? Like, are you seeing immediate return on that? You're doing digital. Like, do you guys segment and say what's better than others? Or do you?
It's really just everything, and a lot of it is, to build a brand takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and we have a foothold in a lot of markets where we have the results now. So if we're getting calls and we're not lawyers, so if we can partner with firms, we have that motion already in place. And a lot of these firms during COVID, we'd see firms, okay, I got my license, in these 3 states during COVID. I don't have a brand there. I don't have any market share there. Well, we have calls there. We have a brand there. So we can help them kind of establish a foothold in new markets. So that's a change that we've seen a lot since COVID.
During COVID, I mean, we branched out to other states. In my firm, you're now in Washington, about to be in
Yeah,
Arizona
I went
too.
into Washington during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to Arizona.
But have you seen more of a national shift towards law firms since the pandemic? I mean, because you're in the space
have,
where they're
I
asking. I
have.
just want to ask you. I don't even know.
I have. I think the initial thing with COVID was, a lot of people kind of ran away, and then a lot of people leaned in, and the ones who leaned in gained a lot of market share. And some of the early things we'd hear is, people are scared to go and treat. People are, that was the objection, but then the opportunity was also not everyone needed to come they didn't want to come to the office to sign. So a lot of it created an opportunity for firms to expand beyond their local footprint into new markets. So I definitely do see.
So I mean, this is a good
Yeah.
A lot of lawyers that are watching or listening don't understand the big consumer data analytics of all of this. So when you're talking about them not coming into the office to sign these different demographics, I mean, are you guys looking at like large scale studies? Like, how are you coming up with these answers?
We do. We have a group of pretty smart people in market research and our marketing departments and who kind of can see what the tea leaves will show for the future. But the overall trend, like from my perspective, it just seems like the world's gotten a lot flatter in the last 4 years.
So let's take our second pour. So this is your pour. Now, you got to finish that, by the way.
Yep.
You can't babysit
Okay.
this.
Oh,
Not you.
all right,
Not you.
all right.
I'll drink mine too.
Yeah, I'm, not a big fan of that Johnny Walker.
No, and that's their best Johnny Walker. So, in our industry, if somebody gives you Johnny Walker Blue, what do you do with it?
Regift it.
Re-gift it.
Gift it. Give it to your secretary.
I love it when I get those, man. Keep them all, and for Christmas I give them all away.
I made this.
People know I drink bourbon, but
Yeah.
people don't know the difference.
They think, oh, it
They
costs a
send
lot
you-
of
they
money. It's
send you
Johnny Walker Blue.
and
But
I
you always
just-
have to open it to see. Does it
There's
have
a
your
card in there?
A card
or
in there.
Or if it's engraved.
If it's engraved, it's happened to me. Like I almost did it once. It's like shit. I can't re-gift this.
Yeah, one time I tried to re-gift one.
By the way, I mean, I respect. Look at the sugar bear. Sugar smacks bear.
Yeah, now I think if you go to the supermarket, they don't have Sugar Smacks anymore.
Yes, they do. They have
No,
golden
they
graham.
call
Sugar
it something else now because it's like, bad. And when I was a kid, it was called Sugar Smacks. But
Yeah.
now they can't have no Sugar Smacks with all these people now. They would burn the bear down. It's got to be called like, Bear Smacks or something.
You just switch the words around.
I don't know. It's not called Sugar Smacks anymore, but I was.
Why can't you call it sugar smacks?
Because it's not politically correct.
What's not politically correct about sugar
You can't be
smacks?
feeding kids sugar. Without
Yeah, okay.
You know how people are.
I know people are. But I like sugar smacks. They're good. They
I
get
just-
soggy a little quick.
Yeah.
What's your favorite cereal, David? This is a good
I'm not a
question.
big cereal guy.
No, but you were as a kid.
Yeah,
Everybody was
as a kid.
Yeah.
I like Basic 4, which I know is weird.
Really?
What the
I like Basic 4.
That's a weird
I'd
answer.
watch G.I. Joe's and eat Basic 4. That was my morning routine.
This is gonna.
What's your
What's
finest
yours?
Listen, mine is there is only one be all
Here we
and
go.
end all for cereal, and it's fucking Fruit Loops. That's it.
No, God, that's so.
Fruit
I
Loops
mean, it's so
will
stupid.
always be the greatest.
I'm a frosted mini wheats, not the minis,
Get
the mini
outta
wheats. I like cut them in
here,
half. Yeah, and I'd put sugar a little. We used to have sugar. My mom used to. We'd have sugar barrels, so we would have sugar cereal, and then we put sugar on top of
Yeah.
the sugar cereal, and that's
I
it.
never put more sugar on my Fruit Loops, but I was a big Toucan Sam fan when I was a kid. Toucan Sam would say, follow my nose, it always knows.
Yeah, and I've seen him at parties, late night in
Yeah.
LA, and he still lives by
My
that.
nose used to once in a while find a truffle here and there.
Second truffle joke of the day, by the way.
Yes,
But
yes.
Dave, why don't you show us what you got
So
here?
this bottle, as I've been in Texas a couple years, this is from Garrison Brothers, which is in the Hill Country, and this is their. It was aged 4 years in white oak, and then another year in additional barrel. So two barrels, 5 years. They call it Texas Candy, so it'll probably be a little sweeter.
Love it.
But-
Texas Hill Country is beautiful, man. You ever been
and
out there?
I did monogram it with Bourbon of Proof, so you
See,
can't
I'm
give it
excited
away.
about this.
Once
Look
you
at
leave.
this. You see this, Mauro?
Yeah, see, this is a classy guy. This guy's a classy man. He monogrammed it, so now you can't give it away.
Well, we can drink it.
We can drink it.
We have a saying around us, David, is if it's open, we drink it.
Yeah.
We open a lot. I asked my dad yesterday, we were doing something, I said, how many bottles do you have? He said, I have 187 bottles in my house. I said, Dad, what are you keeping track? He's like, well, that's what's open. I just keep track of what's open, and then we got to drink it eventually. He's 187.
Your dad is a
Oh, look how
man.
dark this is.
Man among boys. I went to a party the other night, Bob. A friend of ours.
You don't say.
A friend of ours
Give me a little more.
got a big award over at Southwestern Law School. A guest on Bourbon of Proof, Arash Hamanpour. He got the Alumni of the Year award from Southwestern.
Cheers. This looks fantastic.
Cheers.
So Arash's friend had a little after party for him after the award ceremony. We went back to the house, and I walked in there. I was like, man.
Oh my God, this is 10 times
I
better.
walked
than
in
what
there. I
just
was
had.
like, this is amazing.
For a fourth of the cost.
Arash's friend just had a whole wall of Weller shit. Pappy's, 23 years, just craziness. So I was like, oh man. And the guy's like, you want to try some? I said, yeah, can we try that? Can we try that 23? He's like, oh, no problem.
No way.
So nicest guy in the world, a guy named Fabian. God bless you, Fabian. Thanks for the bourbon. It was amazing. What a party. I stayed late. We drank that almost a whole bottle of 23. So,
I never got a call.
I have a funny Pappy 23 story. I actually almost
oh,
brought
this
that.
is so much better than
So much
than
better.
Johnny Walker.
I almost brought Pappy 23, but my bottle's open, and according to TSA, I can't
Can't do
travel
it.
with it. So, but
But here, I have a bottle or two of Pappy 23 at my house. Both are open.
Yeah.
You have to drink it.
you have to. Yeah.
I think it's stupid not to. But David, tell us your story, because as a non-lawyer getting into this space, coming from a kind of a different background to start, like what gave you the passion to get into what you're doing now?
Yeah, great question. Out of college, I worked for a company called Law Info that was purchased by Thomson Reuters. So was there about a decade, working with the same kind of firms. Actually worked in the San Diego territory for a while. I think the first time I saw you was at a CASD award ceremony where you had a pretty cool Anchorman video firm.
That was the last time I shaved, by the way. Everything with the mustache I shaved for that video. That was funny, because that was
Was that the one that we went to with Min and Jeff Greenman?
We went to the one after that year. No, that was a fun. We went to.
If Greenman's wife's watching, he wasn't there.
He's not watching. He's somewhere else on the planet right now. No, but because you were a San Diego guy for 10 years.
Yeah, born and raised San Diego. There for first 38 years of my life.
Wow.
So yeah, still a Padre fan. Always be a Charger fan. I pretend they're still in San Diego.
I think most people do.
I'm a Chargers fan myself. I hate the Rams. I like the Chargers if I'm going to root for any.
I'm the same. If I'm going to root for an LA team, it's the Chargers.
I'm a Arizona Cardinals fan, as most people know. Unfortunately, I've been a Cardinals fan my whole life. But if I'm going to root for an LA team, it's going to be the Chargers, not the Rams for sure.
But I mean, as a San Diego, you're in North County San Diego, right? You're Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah.
So Mardi Gras this year is going to be Rancho Bernardo.
Yeah.
We hope to see you there. We have a.
That was our date spot at RBN. We used to have a restaurant called the El Bizcocho. We used to always go there.
So last year at Mardi Gras, I've never seen Mauro be so drunk in his life.
That was the drunkest I've ever been in my life. I mean, I've been that drunk probably before, but not in the last
Public,
10
not
years.
public.
The worst drunk. I stole a golf cart from the hotel. I crashed the golf cart, and then I ended up sleeping on the floor in Bob's room in my underwear. And Bob has a picture of it.
I actually do. I forgot. I have to find that picture.
Yeah, and then my wife got.
Wait. We got to stop because you have to start when you stole a golf cart, because I didn't know that you stole a fucking golf cart.
Oh, yeah,
I know how the night started that
I
night.
stole a golf cart. Yeah, so I stole a golf cart after whoever was playing, the band was playing on Friday. Oh no, you had a DJ or something Friday, right?
DJ Rich, man, she was
I
crushing.
stole a golf cart. I crashed it. I rolled out of it onto the sidewalk. Then I went into Bob's room. Well, actually, me and Bob were sharing a 2-story suite at the Rancho Bernardo Inn. My room was upstairs, and Bob was downstairs. I couldn't make it up the stairs. I just passed out in my underwear in Bob's room on the floor. And I just remember waking up at 5 in the morning. My wife was pouring bottles of water on me to wake me up.
This is true.
And Bob took a bunch of pictures of me and my chonies. And I think you sent them around.
You know what? At a very strategic time in your life, I'm going to send those around.
But that was as bad as I drink a little.
A little of a lot.
But to get that drunk is pretty rare.
But the reason was because we brought a Boss Hog there, the Whiskey Boss Hog, and it's very high proof, but you don't taste it. And we probably drank almost the whole bottle, and it was.
Oh yeah, we were in the room, me and you, and.
See, now he's coming back to it.
I remember. And Rancho Bernardo Inn is pretty awesome.
It is.
What a great venue.
But that's one of the best places to live in America, that area. But you grew up there. I mean, how do you have the hunger to now work. I mean,
Yeah.
really, because we're afraid to grow our kids like here in Southern California,
Yeah.
but you grew up in like the most beautiful part of Southern
Yeah.
California.
It's hard to leave. You know, it was more a decision of, you know, we have 3 kids, only grandkids on both sides. So my wife's folks are in Dallas, and with COVID, you know, and everything being so flat and virtual, we just made the decision this is a better place to raise the kids. So
But being now in this, you know, flat national society,
Yeah.
you must travel a lot.
I do, yeah.
So how do you balance 3 kids, oldest 13, youngest is like 3, 4?
Youngest is actually 1. So
One?
we actually found out we were pregnant the week we moved out to Dallas. So, yeah, have a good dispersion of ages, 13, 4, and 1.
Wow.
So keep me busy.
I have a daughter that's 14 years older than my son. So yeah,
Okay.
it's good dynamic because
Yeah.
like I have like a built-in babysitter. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty nice.
His oldest daughter's gonna be 21 in September.
21 September.
21 in September. Wow, like that's, I mean, but a lot of people don't realize that people think that you get stuck in this like geographic area. This is who you're going to do, what you're going to represent. They don't realize there's a whole world outside of your local bar. I mean, the first time I went outside of our Los Angeles bar, I was like, holy shit, there's a whole more diverse group of lawyers and things that we can work together. But that's what I think what Walker can do to bring people together. But I mean, you work with 350 firms. Are there states that you avoid? I always want to ask you
There
this.
aren't states that we avoid. I would say that, you know, the lion's share of our clients is kind of where the population is. So, you know, the more populous, dense areas, you know, Texas, Florida, New York, Illinois, those are always going to have more people, more growing Hispanic communities, and we're going to have more clients. But yeah, we have clients in most states, and Dallas has actually been a blessing because it's a 2-hour flight to pretty much anywhere in the country. So
Well, that's for to live, but I feel like, you know, I've been there many times, and it's so big and spread out. So from Dallas to Fort Worth, it seems like it's 2 different like
yeah,
states almost, right? I mean, it's
Or from
completely
Dallas to Austin, it's like different countries.
different countries.
You know, because Dallas is still a very old, conservative, like very right-wing America. And then
Well,
you go to
Fort Worth, yeah.
and then you go to Austin, and Austin's like the Republic of Austin. You know, it's like it's like California. It's super liberal, super progressive.
But do you guys, when you do your marketing, because I'm always interested in this because you're doing such dialed in, like big level, big data marketing, like how granular do you guys get on where you're going to market and how you're going to do it?
Yeah.
It has to be big.
yeah. So we'll advertise nationally and locally. So we're kind of, we want to be everywhere where the eyeballs are. So we do get good national buys that we do across the country, English and Spanish. But we also do localized advertising as well. So we'll go as far as like we have local, you know, office suites in certain locations, and we'll have, you know, on the street marketing. As well as, you know, radio or digital and TV. So we really just try to have as much market share as we can, but it does vary depending on the state. Whereas some states, you know, firms don't handle statewide, so we'll have local attorneys. Texas, you know, we have about 50 clients
I was going to say it's a
in
huge
Texas
state.
because
Huge
it's the same thing. You know, they may not have a doctor's network, you know, in Austin if they're in Houston.
But how much do you pay attention to like the success of the lawyer or law firm that you're working with? Because I feel like that, I mean, because you're being altruistic about it. It's from client call comes in, and there's a point of success. How interested are you in the success story of that client, and how does it match?
It does, and part of the juggling act is being a consumer-facing brand, because we have a responsibility to the consumer that we're connecting them, you know, to a qualified, good attorney, but also we want to make sure that the attorney is getting value in the case as well. The reality is our program doesn't work for subpar attorneys. It works for the best of the best. And we are competing on quality. We're not competing on anything other than that. So the program's going to work for the best attorneys who get the best results.
Okay, so let's get into, well, you guys are lagging a little bit, but David, who are the
Yeah.
dirt bags in the industry you do not work with? I want to ask Mauro's questions. You
this
can't
is an
mention, you
episode
can't mention
that,
Mauro's.
this episode's hard for me because I have lots of opinions on this stuff, but I'm not going to talk to Sam on this episode.
Look at him, sugar smacks.
After this, when the camera's not rolling, I could tell you a lot of stuff that I've seen in the last 30 years.
Well, here's I'll just
The
speak.
last 30 years.
There's a lot of lawyers that are just acquiring leads from a lot of folks and doing very bad things. So we've heard horror stories of it. It's not Walker, it's some other folks, but
Sure.
but how do you prevent against the bad players in our industry doing those things?
Yeah.
Because you guys are a big national brand, probably
Yeah.
the biggest.
Yeah.
Like, how do you protect against that?
Yeah, I mean, we've fired clients before, and the reality is there is an aspect.
When you
of
say client, these are law firms.
law
you fired.
firms,
Yes.
law firms. So there is an element of like we don't want to, help people find a babysitter on Craigslist. Like we there's an assumption it's our brand as well. So people will leave us reviews based upon their experience with the law firm, and we're not the law firm.
How long have you been there? 10 years?
I've been there a little over 5 years.
Wow, 5 years.
Yeah.
So right before, holy shit, you've been there right
Yeah,
before COVID,
right
and then
before
it
COVID.
hits.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be like in San
Well,
Diego
it's
proper. and
funny
you're going-
that he mentions Craigslist because I've had
Here
this
we go.
I've had this conversation with several people recently.
Mauro actually found his tour guide in Africa on
No, I'm just
Craigslist.
saying-
If you watch that episode,
I mean, no, yeah, of course, but it's just
yeah, of
that,
course.
I wasn't aware that like the younger people, like when I say something like, "Oh, I found this on Craigslist," they're like, "You use Craigslist?" They're like shocked that I use Craigslist. It's like, is it for like old people? Because I like Craigslist and eBay, and people like my secretary sometimes, or my reception in my office, I'll get a package and it'll send it, and I have like the tape on it that says like eBay or whatever. She's like, "You buy shit on eBay? Who the fuck uses eBay?" I said, "Shit, I've been using them for 30 years." I said, and same thing, I use eBay and Craigslist,
Wow.
and I'm considered like a dinosaur. Nobody uses these things anymore?
But I mean, you look at their target audience. I don't know the answer, but where are they? Are they on Craigslist? Or are they on?
No. I was more so saying that where
I don't know.
We don't want to do that because you don't want to refer someone. It says something about you as well. So we want to make sure that we're referring consumers to good attorneys who are getting good results for them. Because we have a vested interest in the outcome as well, because we know that clients will stay if they're getting good results, and they're going to get good results if they get good outcomes for the client. So it's kind of like the circle of life.
Yeah. So let's do this last pour here. Get the quiet man, because you're usually the silent killer here. So I picked the quiet man for you. Mara's going to tell you a little bit more about.
This is in a different language. On fear Goin.
This is your eyes. That just says on fire, bro. No, it doesn't. I can't see. I can't
I don't know,
read it.
some kind of different language. The Quiet Man, blended Irish whiskey.
It's an Irish whiskey.
Oak bourbon cask matured, so it's in bourbon cask, an Irish whiskey.
So these are. It's a different. So this is going to be a different taste
give it a
between these
whirl.
two. It's like the middle of a bourbon and a proper.
As a quiet man, or as we say in Irish, on fear Quinn. Oh, so on fear Cunin means
Quiet
a quiet
man.
man.
Quiet man.
Irish is a different language?
Gaelic.
Okay.
The Quiet Man was a John Wayne movie, right?
That's right.
I didn't know they had their own language.
So I've seen you around, Dave, and I feel like you're the quiet, like, voice of reason in the room a lot of the times. No, you did a heavy pour.
I did a little bit of I'm a little heavy-handed today.
Yeah. But we see a lot in the industry, being to a lot of conferences, speaking to a lot of folks. You see a lot of animated knuckleheads, right? I feel like you're the voice of reason in a lot of these rooms. You could sit in, like the Theodore Roosevelt, like walk quietly, big stick. Is that how it goes?
Walk quietly and carry a big stick.
That's it. Oh, God, I knew you'd be good for that. But I feel like that's the quiet man
Cheers.
is for you, my friend.
Thank you.
In Gaelic, it is what Mauro cannot pronounce.
Bob, have you
Not
announced
bad.
our Bourbon of Proof tour of
shit.
Ireland next year?
Well, I guess you just did.
Yep. I let the cat out of the bag again. God damn
We
it.
haven't even started, we haven't picked a date yet. You're just fucking announcing shit.
But I'm going to Scotland to scout locations.
So Mauro is, as part of his tax write-off adventure,
Yes.
is going to go to Scotland and Ireland to write off a tour in September.
I'm going to scout locations.
Scout locations. But we would like to, this is one of the ones we want to do because this is not a very It's not as peaty as this.
Mm-hmm.
It's in between these two, but it's
This reminds me like of the Lagavulin, you know?
yeah, fuck.
That kind of shit give you heartburn bad.
Yeah, can't do
This
it.
is good.
Yeah, we'll do a formal announcement of Ireland, which we're putting together, which would be very nice. But do you have any Irish blood in you?
I don't.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
are you?
sad.
English?
English?
Yeah.
Just English?
I've literally ran into someone with my last name like twice in my life.
Really?
One is Trevor Goins at
I know Trevor.
in TL. Everyone's
talked
always
to
like,
Trevor
is that my brother?
20 times today.
Yeah.
20 times today I've talked
Yeah.
to Trevor.
Where's he from?
He actually is like in Arkansas or something. He's, I don't know where he's physically, but we text and email all the time.
He's a PLer?
He runs conference management stuff, so we talk a lot about a lot of things. He's an awesome dude. He was just at Mark Lanier's conference last week. You'd probably recognize him if you saw him. But you guys are not related?
Or not? No.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to ask you that question. Like,
Yeah.
you guys not know each other? Yeah. There's only one other Mauro Fiore, but he's a cinematographer that
Okay.
Mauro assigns his awards for him.
He's an Academy Award-winning cinematographer. He was a cinematographer. What's that movie where people are blue?
Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah. He won an Academy Award for that movie.
Okay.
And then
I
I
bet
live
he-
in Hollywood.
I bet he didn't drink Sugar Smacks, though.
No.
No.
I live in Hollywood, and they figure, fuck, they do enough internet research. They find my address in Hollywood. I live in Hollywood Hills, up by the Hollywood Bowl, and people send me like Avatar shit to sign and stuff, and I sign it. I send it back to them. I don't want to hurt their feelings, you know. I autograph shit for Mauro Fiore, who lives in fucking New Mexico.
I think
know
it's
where
Oklahoma, something
I
like
know where
this.
he lives. He lives in New Mexico, in Albuquerque.
So David, like you travel a lot for this industry, for what you do. Like,
Yeah.
do you? I mean, with the balance of life, you know, we talk a lot with people that have, you know, toured the circuit and stuff like this because you have a 1 and a 8. No, how old's the oldest? 13.
13.
13.
Yeah.
You know, 12-year span. Like, how are you able to do that? And I know you're a super dad. You're there for all your kids' sports, and your oldest son's big in basketball. Like, how do you balance that shit?
Just being hyper intentional. You know, travel is time away from the family, so like it has to serve a purpose, and be selective and be able to say no to a lot of stuff. I think is important. But it also a certain element just comes with you know the life we chose to some extent. So
So when you came into the life you chose in 2019,
yeah.
did you anticipate moving to Texas?
I first saw COVID. I knew that would happen.
Wow, you should have told a lot more people. That'd been nice.
No,
Mauro
yeah.
foresees a lot of like weird stuff,
Yes,
like
I do. I'm,
like 6 a.m. raids on houses, things
Yeah.
like this. He knows it's coming.
I know it's coming.
He's like the earthquake whisperer.
Yeah. Yeah, COVID was actually really good in terms of what we have done at Walker. I think a lot of our growth just came from building a fully remote team was actually a blessing in disguise because it allowed us to be hyper intentional in terms of building a remote culture. I think which was huge for us.
But how do you build that? Because we're all remote at our firm
Yeah.
too, and it's hard to build that remote culture. And I feel like we do a very good job with it. But I noticed that you
Yeah.
guys have offices. I always assumed you were in San Diego, but I guess you're not now. But you have you had a Torrance one. You guys have ones in Dallas, Austin, other places. How you were able to build? You guys have a lot of employees, 350 other law firms. How are you
Yeah.
able to build that remote culture?
Yeah, I mean, we have about 250 employees. At least
Wow.
50% of them are remote. The rest work out of Torrance.
Where in Torrance are you guys located?
We're on Hamilton.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
I feel like I know you know LA more than anybody.
I don't know Torrance much. I stay out of the South Bay,
To your peril.
to my peril.
I'm trying to get him to move next door. I feel like it'd
I'd
be
love
nice.
to move over there. My wife says it's too cold at the beach.
Yeah, she should come right now. It's been quite hot.
It's
She likes scorching weather, like
yeah,
110
she's
plus.
like a lizard.
She should move to Dallas. It was 100 degrees on Monday.
Yeah, but they have humidity in Dallas. That's shit.
She
Not
can't
here.
do that. Yeah.
But you know, what was I gonna say? What was
You don't remember.
I forgot.
Yeah, this guy's like a movie memento. You know, but he's got to get a tattoo to remember where he was 5 minutes ago.
Forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, it'll come to me.
It will not come to him. No, but we were talking about culture
Yeah,
and community
yeah.
that you're building.
Oh, now I remember.
Oh, here we go.
We have lots of remote employees now at my office. We've embraced I have a young office COO, and she's implemented lots of these things. And, I'm along for the ride. don't want to hold back, from innovation and things. But just like I think last Thursday, I called one of my remote employees at like 2 p.m, and like this is the first time I've ever called this particular employee. I always send her emails; she responds right, but I actually had to answer. I needed an answer to a question pretty quickly, so I called her at like 2 p.m, and man, I know for sure I woke her up. You know what I mean? She's like, hello. It's like, hey, it's Mauro. Oh, hey, what? I know I woke her up. So it's like that kind of shit bothers me, because I know.
But if she's being responsive on
she was fucking
emails, I mean,
sleeping.
is she answering calls for your firm?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get complaints about her, no, but I know she was snoozing. I know it. So it's just like
This guy's a
man.
tyrant. A tyrant.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always say if you can't work for me, it's be hard for you to work anywhere, because I'm pretty
You are
easygoing.
very good to your employees.
I'm
Yeah.
good to my employees. I'm pretty easygoing. Do your fucking job, and that's it. Especially in what I do, because I really have no life experience whatsoever other than being a personal injury lawyer. I graduated from law school when I was 23 years old. In law school, I had a few shitty jobs as a limo driver for my dad.
And for OJ,
I
apparently.
used to drive for OJ. I worked at El Torito. I mean,
You were at El Torito?
yeah, I was a bartender at El Torito Marina Del Rey.
What?
Yeah.
I actually know that's not
Yeah,
there anymore.
Did it close?
I think it closed.
Yeah, me and my roommate Eli, we used to work there. He used to make tableside guacamole.
Is that how you know that sushi chef? Where was he at?
No, he went to junior college with me. Kenji.
What?
Kenji.
So if you ever go to Mauro, if Mauro ever invites you to a party, go, because he usually gets Kenji, who's the best sushi chef in America. This guy's cutting like, I don't understand how he gets
he's
that.
come to my house, and Kenji bring like a 5-pound slab of toro that he just got like from the fish market, and we'll just chop it up in my kitchen and just eat it. It's the best. But so I have no experience other than being a lawyer, right? And I worked at a bunch of law firms, PI firms, got treated like a fucking dog by people. You know how shitty most employers are? The lawyers I work for treated me so bad, literally browbeat, treated like shit. So then when I opened my own office, I decided I wasn't going to have that kind of culture. And I'm so good to my employees and stuff. And the fact that some of them still fucking complain, I always think, I was telling my office manager the other day, I was like, if these people complain about what we do here, they would have worked at some of the firms I worked at, they would have killed themselves.
But it's a different world now. So like when you guys have so many virtual employees,
Yeah.
how are you building that self-worth and confidence and community?
For me, it's a lot of leading from the front lines. I tell my sales managers, it's you want to be General Patton and Rambo,
Oh, I like that.
because I think there's credibility of them seeing what you're doing and being a servant leader and leading by example, and creating a culture for me of wanting to make sure that everyone. I have 17 people in 8 different states, and it's largely making sure that they feel empowered but not orphaned, and making sure that they have the tools that they need, they feel supported, but in terms of what they're doing, and making sure that we hire slow and make sure we have the right team members, and I call it the it factor, trademark pending. Of
Yeah, I feel like you're not going to get that one.
I probably won't get it, but integrity, intellectual capacity, or curiosity and tenacity. And if I can trust you and you're going to work hard, like I know you're curious, you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I think tenacity is the most underrated.
But you can't teach that. Like you can
can't.
interview it and you can understand it,
Yeah,
but you can't teach
tenacity
it.
is number one. Like I just remember, like the first time I ever saw my son Max play any type of organized team sport, I think it was like basketball or something. He's like 3 years old, and he was a fucking animal, like fouling, biting, scratching, knocking.
Yeah,
players
law firm
over.
owners out there, hire the
I was
biter.
just
The
like-
one, if somebody fouled out for a career,
yeah,
no, for
I
real.
was
Like,
just
these are people that work
And I
hard.
told my wife, this makes me so happy to see this kid as an animal. You know what I mean? And she's like, what's wrong with you? I said, that what I just saw
I
this
think
kid
she just.
do
I think she
doesn't-
walked in. I
doesn't-
think Max walked into your bedroom one night and saw his dad was a biter.
Yeah.
Now he's
no,
a
I'm
biter.
just saying, I told my wife, I said,
Yeah.
what I just saw
It
this
might get
kid
edited
do
out. Might not. We'll see.
is something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. He is a fucking beast, competitive, tenacious animal, and that's exactly what you can't teach, and that's a great quality.
Yeah. Well, cheers. Well, Dave, we're wrapping up the end of the episode here. So, like, the last thing we always like to ask our guests here is, I know my answer is pretty easy on this one, but what is your bourbon of proof? We went around different genres here, 3 different type of tastes of the world. What is your bourbon of proof here?
Yeah, not to be a homer, I think the Texas one.
I think it's a clear winner.
I'm definitely winning.
So can we have one more pour of the Texan Garrison
Jeez,
Brothers whiskey?
sure.
Yeah, I need to clear my palate of
Yeah,
the other
because-
Irish whiskeys and the
I
King
mean,
George.
I don't know what these
The
people
stupid
drink.
expensive bottle at the
People
end here with the
drink
gold
these
cap.
Irish whiskeys, man. They got a big, man. They got a dead tongue or something.
That's a delicacy in a
It's
lot of
just
places.
horrible.
David, thanks for coming on
Yeah,
to this
thanks
episode
for
of
having
Bourbon of
me.
Proof.
This is good.
Thank you for
You
bringing
know, Bob.
us.
You know, a lot of people have said that you've gone nose deaf at times. Are you? Can you?
I actually don't. I don't.
Can you still smell, or you've gone nose deaf?
Is this a joke that I don't get?
Forget it.
I feel like this is something I don't get.
You don't get it.
I don't get it
I'll tell you about it later. I'll tell you about it in Spain.
in Spain. So Mauro and I are going to spend a month together in Spain, where I'm going to document every single one. Like, he is sleeping in the pool while his son's trying to swim. Max will be drowning. He'll be asleep at the ledge. This is
You
the
know
thing.
what? This time I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna drink like 4 espressos every day to keep from you getting any fucking video on me.
He'll drink his Bang Energy, whatever. He'll fall asleep at the wheel drinking it. So,
No.
Dave, thanks for coming on. From
Yeah,
Texas.
thanks for having me.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers. Thanks for bringing
This one's way better.
Awesome.